Okay, so I think that we are recording. Hopefully this works better than the last one. We are here talking about 1.4, factoring a trinomial. And a trinomial is something with three terms, hence the tri, in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? So I'm going to give you an example of one and then show you how we are going to factor that. So we're going to take it from something that's got plus and minus signs to two binomials. We're going to take it from something that looks like that to something that looks like that, and a binomial has two terms in there. So that's what it's going to look like. So this is our end product when it's factored. All right, so here's your first example. 3x squared minus 17x plus 10. All right, so the first thing I would do is encourage you to write down your A, your B, and your C. And those are the numbers in front of the variables. So the A goes with the x squared term, the B goes with the x term, and the C is the one with no variable on it. So your A is 3, your B, and make sure you get the sign, is negative 17, and the C is 10, okay? Then what I want you to do is come over here and make an X, where in the top of the X, you put A times C. So in this one, we're gonna put 3 times 10, so that's 30. So remember, that's coming from here, 3 times 10, okay? And in the bottom of the X, you're always gonna put the B, which is negative 17, all right? Then your job, from here, we need to fill in these two side boxes with two factors, and there's a rule here. They must multiply to equal A times C and add or subtract, depending on signs, to equal B. Okay? So, what I would do is just make a list of things that equal 30. So if I go 1 times 30, remember factors, they gotta multiply. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. Those are the only things that'll multiply to 30, and the only way we can get a 17 out of any of those is these two factors, 2 and 15. So we put the 2 and the 15 in here. The only way we can get a negative 17 is if they're both negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive 30. So those will work out, okay? Then your next step, we're going to rewrite the original problem. Replacing the B term using the two terms on the side of the X. And here's how you're going to do that. So we're going to bring down the 3x squared term. That's going to come down. Okay, and then we're going to replace this term using these two terms, and they're both going to get an x when we put them in there. So minus 2x minus 15x, and then we're going to bring down the 10. So these two right here equal the B term that you had. So you now have 4 terms instead of 3. Okay? Then what we're going to do is something you already know how to do. Now we're going to, oops, that does not spell what I wanted it to. Also, my eraser doesn't work the way I want it to. Okay, so I'm going to put that down there. And get the pen back. We are going to factor by grouping. Okay, so if I do that, I'm going to actually match up the two terms that I see a 3x in, so I'm going to go 3x squared minus 15x, and then negative 2x plus 10. Now remember, when you do this, you're going to factor out a GCF in the next term. So I'm going to take a 3x out of here. That'll leave me x minus 5. And here, remember, if your leading term is negative, you want to take that negative out with your GCF, so minus 2. And that'll change both signs from the term above it. So this is going to be x minus 5. And now, my last thing here, I have my common quantity. So x minus 5 gets factored out. And my GCFs, 3x minus 2. And that is the answer that you're going to have. Okay? So we're going to try 2 more of these. But it's really, as long as you can find those 2 factors up in the x, it shouldn't be too bad. So let's go to the next problem. All right, so this problem looks like 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. All right, so we're going to write down our a, our b, and our c. A is on the x squared term, so that's 2. B is on the x squared, so that's negative 3. And C has no x on it, so that's negative 2. And make sure you're taking those signs. All right, so now we're going to make our x. A times C goes in the top, so that's 2 times negative 2, so that's a negative 4. B goes in the bottom, so that's a negative 3. Well, the only way that you can possibly multiply to get a 4 is 4 times 1 or 2 times 2. And the only way you can get a 3 out of that is 4 and 1. So we're going to put a 4 in here and a 1 in here. And to make this work, we have to have 4 minus 1, negative 4 plus 1 to get a negative 3. So these are our 2 factors that we're going to use. And if you want, right up in here, you can put x's on them. And we're going to replace this term with those 2 boxes. So we're going to rewrite this to look like this. 2x squared minus 4x, and that's coming from right here, and then plus 1x, I'm not going to put the 1 on it, but that's coming from right here, and then minus 2, okay? Now we're just going to factor by grouping, and I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Take a 2x out of the first one, so that's going to be x minus 2. Remember, if this is the same as this, we're just going to pull a 1 out of that second one. So that'll look like that. And then when we're done, we'll have x minus 2. That's our common quantity. And 2x plus 1. Remember, when you do this, there's no sign between. It's 2 binomials multiplied by each other. And that's your answer. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Let's do one more. Just to see one more. This one's going to look like 2a squared plus 7a plus 6. So a's instead of x's, but the same idea. So big A is 2, big B is 7, and C is 6. All right, so put this in our x. A times C is 12. And B is 7. So if we make our list over here of factors that multiply to 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4, and that's all we got. The only way to get to 7 is that one. So 3, I'll put an A on there. 4, I'll throw an A on there. And those 2 are going to replace that one. So we have 2a squared plus 3a plus 4a plus 6. Okay, and by now, again, you should be good with the fact that these 2 are coming from here and replacing this term. Okay, that's what's happening. Now we're going to factor by grouping. All right, so if I factor by grouping, I'm just going to go ahead and group these 2 together and these 2 together. My GCF here is just an A because I don't have a common number to take out, so A. That'll give me 2A plus 3. Here I can take a 2 out, so plus 2 times 2A plus 3. And then this will look like 2A plus 3 times a plus 2. Okay, and let's talk real fast about how we can check this. Because this is important. As long as you know how to FOIL, you can check by foiling. So if you have 2a plus 3 times a plus 2, we can just FOIL this out. Remember, that's taking the 2a and multiplying by both terms in the second binomial. So 2a times 2 is 2a squared. 2a times a, sorry. And then 2a times 2 is plus 4a. And then 3 times a is 3a. And then 3 times 2 is 6. And then you've got to combine like terms here. So you get 2a squared plus 7a plus a 6. And this should be exactly what you started with way up here. Okay? So we're going to do a varsity and try some and see how it goes. All right, toodaloo for now.